checking over all of my videos, the 2 videos that I posted just recently. Doing a lot of jumping around on the videoing, but it comes with a dislike of what's really going on in America and what's happened to America. And it seems like all of what used to be in the 20th century, they've changed all the laws where they can actually steal out your bank account because they say you owe something. And if you don't pay it immediately, now we have the parental rights to go in your bank account, cut you off, say this is what you owe, and we're going to get it one way or the other, and you're going to pay it. And I notice a lot of attorneys on commercials now, and I've only seen 2 commercials, but I've seen commercials talking about settling your tax debt and everything else. Well, is it really a tax debt, or is it something that they have cooked up to say you owe this amount of money? Because it seems like to me, in the 21st century now, they are doing everything they can to break the American spirit and backbone and a way of earning a decent living and an honest living, and not have you subjected to their rhetoric of you owe this amount of money, you're going to pay this amount of money, or we're going to do this to you, and we're going to do that to you, and everything else. So you got to actually realize that a lot of the stuff that are going on is because a politician is a politician. He makes good speeches and everything else to say he's going to make good on his promise when he gets into office that I'm going to get and take care of the American citizens, the American people. And when they get in there, they seem to follow the lines of the last one that you were disgusted with and going on with the whole thing. Now, looking at the polls and everything else, at what they're saying, what the American approval is, seemingly says pretty much whichever one you want to pay attention to, that is. That, 9% of the people approve of the Congress, and the rest of the percentage of the people in America don't approve of Congress. I notice on YouTube a lot of the times, if you don't classify your videos with something with someone shaking their booty, or somebody who's done customized a car, or somebody who's taking a trip, or somebody who's talking on things that, of their interest, or what they see, trying to go blindly and say that, oh, it'll get better. It just stop worrying about it and stop looking at it, that, it'll all go away. But the true fact of the matter is, it's just like your house being on fire. Yeah, it'll soon burn out. But how many more houses will it take with it before it do? Embers catching your neighbor's house on fire. How many times are you going to stand there and look away that there's a theft going on in your neighborhood, and you see the people who are doing the theft, and you don't verify or tell anybody or witness to the police department that you know who the person is, and the thefts continue until they get to your house and everything, and then you're mad, and now the police need to do something about it. So it's a outlook on what's going on in America as a whole. And I've said on the past video, you were better off in the 20th century because there was laws governing IRS, governing the politicians, Democrats and Republicans, and governing the president of this country, the leaders in this country. But they seem to throw that rule book out the window, and they want to go on how they think all Americans should be trashed, and made to pay for stuff. And I can't really fault the government all that much as I can fault the people who sit idly by and let this crap go on. Now, some say, well, you just disconcerted because you're going through something right now. I've never been through as much as I have been through right now with this country than I did in the 20th century. And it was all handled, it was taken care of, and we moved on. But now, they're sitting here, oh, you're going to pay this amount of money, and you owe this amount of money to the government. And as I stated on the other two videos, or rather stated on the first video, they're saying I owe this amount of money, they're going to put this on there and everything else and all that. Knowing how this country is, it was stolen from the Indians. They were put on reservations. Blacks as a whole were bought over on the ship in slavery. And that's how we got over here. We didn't come by the Mayflower. We came on slave ships. And if you can't get the idea that they say, well, we're all Americans now and everything else, when the Constitution was written, it was written for a white man, not black men. They were slaves at the time, or black women. They were slaves at the time. So how can something be for me if you done tattered and doctored all your, legal means on changing things and doing things when you want to, and then tell me that the Constitution stands for everybody? Which now that you have the communists, which is doing away, and the people who got money are doing away with the constitutional rights of the American citizen, why do we sit up here and say, well, it's going to get better, and it's gotten worse? Most people that put videos, like I said, they putting big videos on here about women shaking their behind, or this customized car, or car sales, or whatever have you, their trips, what to do, how to fix and repair. But I ain't seen no videos on how to repair what they've already destroyed in this country. Protesting, petitioning, and doing everything else, and they're still getting away with whatever they want. So as unreasonable as my video, the third one, as it sounds, it's not actually unreasonable. It's to get people to think. Did I do okay by just sitting down and just letting this blow over, and now I'm in a world of hurt, don't know how I got here or know how I got here, and didn't do anything about it? So when the actual stuff actually breaks out in the time for the ACA Act, people can't afford, and they're going to overtax them and double tax them with fines and everything, and then taxes and everything else. I'm trying to figure out, what is it going to take for the American population to wake up and see? You're not going to get none of this taken care of by still standing out there with a petition and a banner and everything else. These guys will draw first blood, and they know you're scared as all get out to fire back the first shot. They're not going to impeach Obama no matter what he does, because it's all hooked up to money. And the most of you that pay homage to YouTube videos and other videos everywhere else, you're just a little lackey and follower, and you can't do anything else or do any more. We got crime in this country and people being killed because people are tired of being under this false pretenses of that, I live in America and I'm an American and I have my rights and everything else. Well, let's cast the real truth to the light. Your rights have been now nullified, and you're now a slave to them. And if they have their way in 2016, you won't even be able to buy a roll of toilet paper on credit as they keep going. So as every point to every person on a talk show, a news columnist, news syndicates and everything else report on things, can you really trust those people to tell you the truth? I don't know. I know I don't trust a lot of what they say, because a lot of the times you get one event that happens and you got 5 or 6 different types of reports on this thing, and each one is different from the last one, because you don't know if this is a legitimate event or is a fake event or something that just happened and they're just reporting it different. But I hope to God's name that all the Americans in this country that still want a future will wake up and say, enough's enough. We've had it. You've done what you wanted to do, not what you said you were going to do. And now we're tired of it. And we want you out of there. And as I said, put the Indians on reservations, brought the black Africans over here on slave ships, and you still believing in a lie. I'm an American, I'm this. There's a lot of people in this country that came over, didn't come over the situation like blacks did. But there's also a lot of people that came over here that wasn't legally born here and everything else. So they're going to give them tax money, and they're going to make everybody pay for somebody that's over here illegal. And I'm supposed to accept that and everything else. You done stole, destroyed me to the point I can't buy a roll of toilet paper or I can't do anything. But I'm supposed to believe in your little garbage you putting up there. I don't believe it. Whatever happens in this country, the federal government deserves it. The American people deserve it. Everybody that sat back and said that it ain't worth my while to get involved in everything else, I hope the one thing to say before ending this video, those of you that got grandkids that are grown, that they're in jail or in trouble by some means or out on the street, and those of you that have kids that are raising kids and you having a hard time buying them shoes and clothes and putting food and keeping a roof over their head, I want you to take a look at your child and tell them they got a good, honest future in this country. Because if you know anything about futures, it ain't nothing unless somebody's defending it for your right to earn what you want to earn and live your life the way you want to. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you're not happy right now in this country, I want you to turn your attention to Washington, D.C. Turn your attention to IRS, the thieves up there. The thieving country that you sat there and you let them get away with this because you were scared. Because the end of the thing is as the Bible says, He could turn you over to your own reprobate mind and let you destroy your own self and everything else because He know you're fully capable of doing that. Every human being that showed they have a destructive purpose in them somewhere or another. But the one thing that I'll say and end this video, your future is in your hand. If you cast doubt that you are unable to do anything to protect yourself and keep your future, sit in the living room and wait for them to come and wait for them to say, we taking everything you got and everything. And let's see if it was well worth sitting on your butt looking at sports statistics, news clippings, and the bullshit that the Congress do that they getting paid and taking the money out your pocket and putting it in theirs and living lavish lifestyles and big houses and everything else and having you pay for it. And see if it's right when you look over there at your children, for those who are raising children, and your children don't have food to eat and using raggedy clothes to dress in or using $5 clothes and everything else to dress in. And let's see exactly if you say, I'm happy about living in this country. There's something to be done about it. And I believe most Americans know what it needs to be done to get this country right. But it's not going to happen with you sitting on your butt thinking the Congress is going to take care of it. They've already proven they're not taking care of it, and we're not going to, because we are subservitudes to the ones who pay the most money, and most poor Americans don't have any money, so I'm not worried about you. And you see documentary after documentary of people trying to tell the truth about what this country is. Some of you need to stop ignoring it and look at it. They're killing you without having to use a gun. And those of you that haven't died yet and is giving them a fight, don't worry, they got their soldiers lined up to come get you. So can you imagine them jumping in your house, shooting your family members, hauling you out, putting you in handcuffs, putting you down in a dark dungeon, and say, since you can't follow what we say, this is where you're going to be until we decide to do. And they may take you out of that prison they put you in, that dark hole, take you out back, put a hole in your head, and throw your body in a ditch, and have a bulldozer bury you. So if y'all don't believe that shit can hit the fan, wake up and take a look. I know most of you probably already have, but it's time for a great calling together of everybody that don't agree, come to a conclusion, and follow and take an act. I'm not calling for violence, but as I've said earlier, they've already drawn first blood. They've already made you poor. They've already overtaxed and overburdened you and everything else. The only thing you got left that's any value to you is your life. God go with you. Hopefully God deal with your mind. And I end my video here.